$500 million in goods and services. If you want to remodel your home, but the cost is just too high, or maybe there's an automobile that you have dreamed of owning, but thought you just couldn't afford. Well, this book will allow you to do both of those things, plus hundreds more with little or no cash. Maybe you're a business owner with a cash flow problem that leads to low or non-existing profits. Read this book and see how you can increase your cash flow and your profits by time-proven techniques. The book again is No Cash, No Problem, and you can buy it now online at www.tantalknetwork.com. Click on the book and follow the instructions, or pick up the phone and call Lola at 727-441-3311. The book costs only $6.99, so do yourself a favor and buy the book today.
There's a new show on Tan Talk 1340. It's imho.love. That's in my humble opinion.love, featuring me, comedian Lou Angelwolf, and comedian Chris Gorgeous, Beth Snyder, who is our staff hypnotherapist, and of course our teacher into the exo consciousness, Michael Murburg.
Yes, where we believe that the greatest wisdom is kindness and love unites us all.
Amen. And there's a bit of profundity every week at 7:30 on Tan Talk.
Hi, this is Tim Del Toro.
And I'm Lou Angelwolf, and we are the Grease Gurus.
Our show is broadcast every Saturday morning live at WTAN Tan Talk Radio 1340.
That's 10 o'clock every Saturday morning for an automotive forum that is flavored with humor and insight.
We encourage you to call in and be part of the Grease Gurus show.
We'd love to have you, and we will certainly help you find your inner grease.
This show is sponsored by Tim's Performance Service Center in beautiful Tarpon Springs at 906 Verona Place, and you can reach us personally at 727-543-1601.
Aha.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to imho.love. Welcome, everybody that is watching on Facebook. We are here at the Tan Talk Studios in beautiful downtown Clearwater with the ever slightly elegant waft of red tide in the air as we sit down here just really, really close to the water. Ladies and gentlemen, imho.love is about, in my humble opinion, I'm Lou Angelwolf, and my steady as a rock Mikepedia co-host Mike Murburg. How are you, Michael?
Oh, it's good to be here. And, Lou, what I'd like to do is at least get off the ground here and want to thank once again my friends at FREE, the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial and Extraordinary Experiences, and the publication of their book, Beyond UFOs, for which I have been at least credited with half a chapter. And it was good to be a contributor.
What a piece of work that is. It's amazing.
810 pages of everything you ever wanted to know about extraterrestrial sex, but were afraid to ask. And once again, if anybody who does CE5, and we'll talk about that later, wants a copy of my protocol, feel free to contact me at mmurburg, that's MMURBURG, at disabilityattorney.net, and I'll be happy to send you a copy of of my protocols and how to do CE5.
Yeah, or just go to disabilityattorney.net and follow the prompts once you get there.
Thank you, Lou.
All right, very good. And Pete Blake, he's our producer over there.
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good to see you, man. Thanks for all the hot rod equipment you got going here tonight.
Absolutely. Looks good. Sounds good, man.
Yeah, we really welcome our Facebook friends, and we're on YouTube as well, correct?
Yes, YouTube Live at the radio station here.
YouTube Live. I tell you what, Tan Talk is leaving. They're leaving the starting gates, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
And we are often blessed with wonderful guests, and tonight is certainly no exception. I've actually known our guest for many, many years.
That's right.
Like from Dunedin High School days. And I'd like to welcome to imho.love Paige Salmon?
Paige Clarke.
Paige Clarke?
Yeah,
Okay.
Paige Salmon Clarke.
Paige Salmon. What was that? That was rock and roll, whatever that was.
Yeah, it's a midget's holding up the table. They're getting tired.
The whole table just sunk about an inch and a half.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we grew.
That was a... I did have some Lilliputian coffee before I got here.
Well, anyways, I'm glad to be here.
Well, Paige, it's really lovely to see you. You look absolutely stunning
You're so
And
sweet. Go on.
well, I know, but like I was billing you for people that were looking forward to the show is you're a young lady that knows a lot of good stuff and stuff we ought to know.
I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
Now you and you're certainly you're no stranger to talk radio, and you have a show.
I do. I'm a holistic health advocate.
Mhm.
I'm a real believer in the new healthcare is self-care. And I've been doing a show with my co-host, Nico DeHaan.
What a lovely man.
73-year-old jiu-jitsu champion. I mean, he basically at 60 decided, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do this. And he made it happen. And so Nico and I have been doing Living a Primal Lifestyle on a local station here, a financial news station.
Living a Primal Lifestyle.
Livingaprimallifestyle.com is the website, but we are actually a show of Tiger Financial News Network. That's for years we were the noon show. Now we're the 7 o'clock show. It used to be
7 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah, 7
Wow.
a.m. So we get up early, but now our office is down in St. Pete. So we got a nice view of the sunrise. But we talk about all kinds of things about how we can get, and we actually talk about some of the subject matter that you all talk about what's really going on in the world.
Well, a lot of people love to label it conspiracy theory, which I think is just like a big scaredy cat term for I'm afraid to read what you read.
I think it is too. I agree with that.
I like to see it, and especially when people write it about something that I posted, because it tells me, yeah, I get it. I got it right. You're still out there and somewhere that ain't getting it right.
Well, like I say, is they don't even know that they don't even know.
Right.
And I like to call it, in a more innocent term, I like to call it less reported news.
That's true.
And
that's definitely the truth in today's
because
media.
there are legitimate news sources that provide us with information, but consequently, as a good journalist or any type of researcher or investigator will do, you'll try to read a little bit in between the lines, and you'll put an array of dots out there. And when they start connecting over and over and over again, that's when you go, you know what, I'm really on to something.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Nixon continued to maintain that he was not a crook.
Right.
Well, that's typical of everything that government does.
Right. Exactly.
Or Bill Clinton, I did not have sex with this woman.
Right. And as soon as you make the conclusion that, hey, he had sex with her, and guess what? Nixon was a crook. It's like you're no
There's
longer
no
a conspiracy.
vindication, though, is there?
Right. No, but you're no longer a conspiracy theorist.
Right. One of my favorite ones was "Read my lips, no new taxes." That was a good one.
Yeah. But New World Order, yes.
Yeah. So and pretty much in imho.love, it's in my humble opinion .love, and love is the one thing that is consistent throughout this universe, all the other multiverses, and it's the one thing that exists in every living thing.
And it should be universal between all of us. This whole last couple of years where we had the left-right divide,
yes,
it was so on purpose, and it was so designed to disrupt love. If we take the stance that there's love everywhere and combat every problem and every solution with love in mind, things will change.
Absolutely. And that is our hope. In fact, the imho.love show is a spin-off of Lutopia.com. All my Lutopia podcasts are up. There are about 160 of them. That was the show we were doing previously. And that's based on a piece called The Pacifist Riot. And it's time for we pacifists to stand up a little bit. And, it's very cool for us to sit and observe and be cool and smoke the pipe and, sit there and knit on the porch and shake our head. But it's time for us to speak up now, because all these things that we've been keeping inside and carrying around, finally, for some particular portal in the universe, it seems more appropriate to speak about them these days. And I think the internet has freed us all up. Now, of course, we could be driving right down into the middle of the biggest fiery inferno in the world because we're participating in it. But you got to take that risk, I believe, because I got a 19-year-old son. How old are your kids?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm a grandma now. So
boy.
I have them nearly 32, 27, and 21.
Wow. And then you got the grandkids coming up behind that.
I do.
Michael's got a family. He's got a brand new grandchild. because they're going to grow up with a different kind of truth than we were raised with.
Well, let's sure hope so, maybe.
Yeah, and it's going to be, again, it'll be good and bad. There'll
Right.
be the yin and the yang of the whole thing.
That's the good point. You're exactly right. Whether they grow up with a different truth or the truth that they know.
Right.
Because there is going to be, there's the truth, and then there's what people want you to believe is the truth. And really, it's about the discernment of how we get down to figuring out what's real and what's the real truth.
Sure. It's absolutely stunningly amazing how the truth bends over the years. It does. It warps like an old door. Things that weren't necessarily true, they changed definition over the years. And now that, stuff that used to fly in our face as complete baloney, now you're going, well, yeah, I guess there's a whole lot more to that than we ever had imagined. So, and like I said, the young people coming up behind us now are our kids, grandkids, those kind of things. I believe, and they, of course, have the element of love in them. And when they learn to amplify that, and maybe they can reach back for some of these more organic truths, because the reality of this whole thing, the most lurching overpower of all of it is artificial intelligence. It is really, one day it will take over this world. But there are a few of us that can live an organic life before that does happen.
Yeah, and that whole discussion of artificial intelligence, so many people are feeling that this is this actually making of humanity to be more cyborgish is very concerning to me. We've got to grab onto our humanity, and that doesn't mean we're going backwards.
Well, I think that the danger of artificial intelligence is AI realizing what a danger we are and trying to snuff us out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really do. I mean, these people are dangerous. They're nuts. They're crazy.
Yeah. And we've always had a bit of a wildcat spirit down here, we humanoids.
Like atomic bomb. Hey, yeah, great idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, I know. My brother's got an awesome chemistry set.
Actually, we were talking about that last week, where my friend Diana in the CE5 group, her father was the one who actually invented plutonium. So her father and her grandfather were in a basement in New Jersey, and they were buying pitch blend and enriching it in their basement.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and when World War II came around, they became the most concentrated suppliers of uranium and pitch blende to the United States government when war came around. Jeez. And of course, he works on the Manhattan Project. So, but once again, that's actually not a joke. It's something.
It's the real thing.
It's the real thing.
Yeah. Wow. Well. And like Paige was saying before, one of the things that we do is we do lean a little more on less published news. We do realize that your 5 major news outlets are all basically the same news outlet.
Owned by 5 corporations.
Yeah, 5 corporations, and with some deep ties to the World Bank and on and on and on. So in other words, but there are true reporters and there are true journalists out there that do leak some stuff out, and we try to grab those little pieces and we try to give them legitimacy. Like, for instance, one of the things that we're experiencing right now here in the west coast of Florida, it's the 22nd of August or 23rd.
Yes.
22nd, 23rd?
22nd.
Okay. It's the 22nd of August here, 2018, and the whole west coast of Florida is experiencing a horrible trend of red tide. Now, I've lived here a long time, and we've had red tide before, but never with this type of voracious activity. And from what I understand, it's the sugar processors down in the southern part of the state. They continued to dump their waste and byproducts into the canals. Well, once this algae, the algae that creates the red tide, got hold of sugar, it just multiplied. I mean, it literally the rivers and the viaducts around Fort Myers are like pea soup, drowning all the fish. I mean, giant, beautiful whales laying on the beach,
It's
dolphins,
so sad.
and
It's so sad. And it was interesting. I just returned from California and some of the fires, and I was like wondering about the fires, and they're like, how's the red tide? So how are your fires? How's your red tide?
Right.
We were just, it really is sad that we're having to deal with all of these things.
And how about all the floods up in upstate New York? I mean, how's your flood? How's your red tide? How's your fire?
And not to mention, how's your earthquake?
How's your
Have you found your Tesla machine yet?
No,
Well-
we laugh, but not laughing. Just
It's real.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
all real, and everybody. There's so many people out there who are going to listen to this and say, they're just a bunch of crazy kooks. The reality is, we've read the science, we've read the subterranean works, we've read the government reports. You put it together, and it's all there. It's really, really simple if you do your research.
Right. But what the world, they've really been manipulating us for quite a while. I guess the average attention span's down to about 7 seconds these days.
Yeah, a little shorter than a goldfish. Really.
Actually, I've
It's
had
true.
goldfish watch me for a couple of minutes, but anyway, where teenagers would have went, they just walked off. But so they've shrunk our attention span. They've fed us blurbs, okay, and then everything, unless we can process it within a couple of seconds, we discard it. Okay,
and it's over with.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind.
right.
Yeah, and to a population that thinks that Bud Light is real beer,
Right.
they're okay
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, it's very interesting that the people that move this agenda forward are counting on us following suit. The fact that we won't investigate, the fact that we won't turn the page, the fact that if it's not on the first 7 spots on Google, nobody goes to the second page. That you don't do the research. But here's the magic: should you take the time to do the research, you will find that you can debunk many of these main news stories. They all, not all of them, but a good amount of them have a twist. I try to
A twist or a backing that got it there in the first place.
right, and all of this and all of this information has been conditioned for your lovely little ears.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started reading. I read things differently now. It's like I read in between the lines, and I go, okay, who's making a pit of this? Now, consequently, the red tide is a. I mean, there's millions of fish dead. The tourism industry is absolutely on its back. People are canceling left and right because you can't even stand to be near the beach. And all of this leads to the trail of Governor Rick Scott, who this information was brought to him a long time ago about these contaminants that are being put into the waterways.
And Adam Putnam, who has been in the back pocket of Big Sugar for a long, long time. And I won't interrupt after this.
Go ahead. No,
but
please.
I just wanted to put a plug in for Bettina Rodriguez Aguilera. She's running for Congress down in Miami. So, surprise, surprise, she's a Republican, but guess what? She's also come out of the closet as a contactee experiencer as well.
Oh, really?
Okay, so
Interesting.
this might be a historical announcement because we actually have a contactee experiencer running for Congress, and that's what we people all really need to do, because after you've been a contactee experiencer, there's no way you can go back to screwing humanity, because it just doesn't go together. Some people say, hey, well, she's Republican. Republicans do that all the time. Well, guess what? If you're in Miami and you want to win, that's what you got to be.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican anymore. But I wanted to put a plug in for Bettina. She's doing a good job. I met her at one of the conferences when I was in South Florida last year. It was a good conference with Ray Hernandez and the group that I've helped publish the book with. So if you're out there and you're in that district to vote, Bettina Rodriguez Aguilera.
Aguilera. Okay, cool.
Very good.
Well, now tell me the Adam Putnam thing and the Rick Scott thing. Wasn't there a bill or something that they were supposed to modify the waste management of the sugarcane production, and it got glossed over or turned down or passed over? Wasn't that?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics, Lou, but I'll tell you this. It sounds exactly like what happened with fluoride years ago, where it was the dilution to the solution should just, the solution to the pollution should be dilution. In other words, just let it trickle out in the water. And, here you got it again, right? They're letting their waste products and the sugar and so forth get into our water supply, and it's wreaking havoc. So I'm with you there that I think that there's probably been some definite oversight at the political level.
Well, and because, big corporations don't want fees or fines levied against them or giant cleanup programs either way. And this kind of stuff just gets glossed over. And here's where my big problem with science and scientists and all these people banging a drum about scientists. It's scientifically proven. We had this panel of scientists say that this isn't so. But when you also look at the who these scientists are beholden to, of course they're going to give you that kind of report.
It's extremely difficult. The previous chief of the New England Journal of Medicine said that after her 30-year career, you can Google the quote, it is no longer permissible to rely on clinical data produced in the New England Journal of Medicine due to special interests. And this is the thing. And when you try and share information out into our public, whether it be through social media, many people go, let's go check and see if it's true. Let's check Snopes. And it's like, who do you think is funding Snopes?
Oh, I know. Snopes is owned.
Is it Snopes or Snoops?
Snopes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And they're not 100% inaccurate, but they definitely have a slant when it comes to things that need a slant.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're checking to see if, some rock concert really happened, yeah, they can probably prove that for you.
Right, but
whatever.
if Who Shot Kennedy, trust me, they're checking different sources. That they've got the source that's considered the correct source.
Well, and none of this is surprising because last year, Governor Rick Scott took over $600,000 from the sugar industry.
Really?
Yeah. That's where I come from. That's like a lot of money.
Just a little bit.
That's a lot.
Just a little bit. Money. Well, he's not my favorite guy either right now because, as you all know, tomorrow night I will be speaking before the city of Dunedin and the commissioners as they are working very diligently to make a response in terms of ordinance changes to protect citizens, residents, and businesses from the deployment of the small cell 5G cell towers that our wonderful state law has kind of forced and taken away the local home rule. It's not a good thing. And believe it or not, there is some legislation in the federal government that makes it where that the commissioners are not allowed to make ordinances based on environmental effects.
Really?
Who do you think put that language in? But maybe there's a loophole, and maybe there's something that some other cities that are a little bit setting some precedents before us are finding that we might get into discussion tomorrow night. If you're in Dunedin, come down. Right. If you don't want to have a 5G micro tower less than 50 feet out of your bedroom window.
Let's tell everybody what 5G is for those of you who don't know. As you reach for your fondle slab every day 2,000 times, you're currently on a 4G network. The 5G network is 90 times stronger than this. And there's already reports of cancer from cell
biological negative effects, correct.
For many, many years already.
Yeah, brain cancers and heart cancers specifically.
Okay. Now, here's something 90 times stronger that the providers of this 5G communications network are not willing to do tests on. They're going to blaze forth with their science and they're going to impose this on all of us. The thing about 5G is it doesn't travel well. It's not like a big satellite signal. It travels place to place in short distances.
2 miles.
2 miles.
2 miles.
It needs many cell towers.
Repeaters, so to speak, or repetition. But the plan is to allow them to be as close as, 300 to 500 feet apart.
Yeah, right. And the thing that a lot of people don't understand, or they've yet to dawn on them, is that this type of internet power is for something called the Internet of Things.
That's right.
It's the only way that it's going to be strong enough to conduct the Internet of Things. Eventually, with the RFID chips that they put in absolutely everything, they can make an RFID chip like a quarter of the size of a piece of rice, and there'll be so many of them, and they'll be so.
They're planning on putting them in babies' diapers because so they'll alert a mother that the diaper's wet, and to track how many times the mother changes her diapers, they can send her a coupon. This is ridiculous,
Whoa.
guys. The Internet of Things. That you ever hear the saying, "The best things in life are not things," and this is where we got to get back to realizing that we don't need all these
It's
things.
the Mr. Rogers. Everything, the best things in life are invisible. Although,
Hey. That's right, isn't it?
well, the 5Gs are invisible too. And what some of us have understand with radio frequency lesioning, and they use radio frequencies to actually cut out, nerve endings and things like that to make people feel better. What people don't realize about 5G is they can focus radio frequencies to fry your brains at a distance. The reality of this is they can direct.
They have GPS, and they can send these frequencies by GPS. That's exactly right.
They no longer have to send the drone with facial recognition programming to knock you dead.
They just find your number and program it, and you get a little laser weapon, and there you are, and there you aren't.
Right, and guess what? If you have a system like that and somebody hacks it, sayonara, brother.
Yeah, and to me, years ago, I read this whole thing about microwave bombs, and it's always, I don't have many nightmares, but I have had a nightmare or two about microwave bombs. And for those of you who don't know, with extreme internet power and microwave power, there are bombs that they can set off in large urban areas that cook every piece of meat in the area. Every piece of meat gets cooked. Okay. And consequently, leaving the infrastructure. You don't have to.
Doesn't that sort of sound like the Santa Rosa fires to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That I don't get that. How do houses burn and the
cars melt
and their shrubbery looks fine?
I don't get that either.
How does a car, liquid aluminum, liquid steel, and then there's the tree?
Hey,
not missing a leaf.
Hey, exactly. But we're asking those questions, and we ask the same questions about the Twin Towers, and we're the crazy ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I call it, we're exercising our critical thinking skills,
right.
And we just need more people to do that.
Well, and I have often said that we don't take enough time to read both sides. Okay. There's going to be people out there that say 5G is totally fine. It's never going to hurt you. You're an idiot for thinking that it will.
Sure.
And then there's people way more extreme than us that are already,
adding lead to their ceilings and roofs and moving. There are a lot of people that are extremely electromagnetic sensitive. Mm-hmm. We all are. We are electromagnetic beings, as we know.
Yeah.
And these frequencies are really messing with the fabric of life. And the fabric of life is electromagnetic.
Yeah, and we do that in our interpersonal relations. We do that, when we meditate. We create these human toric fields among us, around us, within us, when we interrelate as human beings through our meditation. That's how we make contact with CE5, by the way, for those who might be interested.
Yeah, see, that's a beautiful thing. I'm really interested in that. And I want to make one little last comment, because we might not be on the same subject. When you mentioned that the research has shown the brain cancers and the heart cancer, stop and think about it. Where do most people hold their cell phone? Right here, or men in their top pocket?
Exactly. Yep.
So there you go.
That does make a lot of sense. But the other thing is the Internet of all things, which is coming. Okay, it won't be stopped. Mm-hmm. All we can do is delay it. And all we can maybe do is have it re-engineered so it's not as harmful. And
we have every chance to vote for a lot of the things. You can choose to repair your 10-year-old refrigerator. It doesn't have all those spyware in them. This is
Boy, are they junk anyway.
This is a deployment. This is a military technology, as you said. It's a deployment, and it's not. Everyone seems to think it's to service the people. but
It's
it's not.
control. It's
It's
control
control.
based.
And I
Absolutely.
think it's
And
something
fear.
we should all pay
And-
attention to.
In fact, these RFID chips will be so small and so inexpensive they'll be able to scatter them along the side of the road.
Just in case you want to suck one in and breathe it in. Yeah.
Just cut one up and snort it.
The asbestos of electronics.
I was snorting RFID chips.
Oh, God.
Next thing I knew,
No, but I mean, they'll make them so that if you are a dissenter, they'll make it easy for you to ingest it some way that's unknown to you.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
it'll hang in your hair, especially mine. But anyway, like I said, they'll cast them on the side of the road. So when you drive by these identifiers, they'll say, "Oh, well, there's Lou. There he's going. He's going. He thinks he's getting away, but he's got a bag of them in in the bottom of his Gatorade bottle or whatever." So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to imho.love. Part of the exercises over here is we got to listen to the news or a version of it that comes up at the top of the hour. Now, I'm Lou Angelwolf here with Paige Clarke. Paige, yeah,
That's
Paige,
right. You
Paige
just call me
Clarke.
Paige.
And Michael Murburg. We'll be back in about 6 minutes because Pete's got to fulfill his contractual obligation and play that newsreel. So, and this is a perfect thing. Here's a version of the news.
And then come back and get some news from us.
Now we're not gonna go line for line and tell you what we think. But anyway, there is more information out there. We love sharing it with you. Thank you so much. I'm Lou Angelwolf. We'll be back in about 6 minutes.
WTAN, Clearwater,
FM 106.1,
WDCF, Dade City, Tampa Bay, WZHR, Zephyr Hills.
FM 104.3.
Listen.
President Trump had words of praise today for his former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, who was convicted this week of 8 counts in his financial fraud trial. Trump called Manafort brave. During an interview with Fox News, Trump admitted to making payments to 2 women during the 2016 presidential campaign, but he denied the claim by his former attorney, Michael Cohen, who entered a plea deal this week, that he directed those payments.
Later on, I knew, but you have to understand, Ainsley, what he did, and they weren't taken out of campaign finance. That's a big thing. That's a much bigger thing. Did they come out of the campaign? They didn't come out of the campaign. They came from me.
But Lanny Davis, who is Cohen's lawyer, told CNN it appears as though Trump committed a crime.
The motivation as a principal political purpose made that donation illegal and a felony. And if it's a felony for Michael Cohen, my client, who pled guilty, it's certainly a felony for the man who, according to the prosecutors, directed and coordinated the payment of that illegal campaign.
Republican Congressman Duncan Hunter of California maintains his innocence in the wake of charges he misused campaign funds for his personal gain.
This is the new Department of Justice. This is the Democrats' arm of law enforcement. That's what's happening right now. And it's happening with Trump, and it's happening with me, and we're going to fight through it and win. And the people get to vote in November. So we'll see.
Chants of support for equal pay echoed outside the Supreme Court as several women's rights groups spoke out against Judge Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to the High Court. The groups joined forces with equal pay activist Lilly Ledbetter and some Democratic senators to denounce Kavanaugh's nomination, arguing that his record on women's issues is unsatisfactory. Stocks closed mixed.